before then saying, hey everybody, look at me, I can do this really well, please buy my stuff. So I think in my world you have to have a certain threshold of skill, experience, and proof, not only for yourself but also for others, in order to do it well, in order to market it. With that being said, across industries, that can change. Like if you talk about specialists versus generalists, you don't have to be a specialist in every single thing in order to do well. I think that would actually be somewhat difficult unless you're a certain brain. Most people are good at 2 or 3 things really, really well, and then kind of not good at most of the rest. And so you surround yourself with other people who are good at those things. I won't keep rambling here, Mike, you go for it.
I feel like you pretty much nailed it. It is a debate. All right, let's go. I think you were wrong on every point.
Kenny, you brought this guy on here. Debate.
Right. I do think it's probably, like you said, kind of industry dependent in that sense, because like you kind of mentioned, like myself, we with Resonate, we've been, I guess, quote unquote successful in what we've been able to do. Yet myself, like I mess around on a few instruments, but I would never teach anybody. I'd be more a student than a teacher. So how does that make sense to then be able to run or decide what our program should be like? But there's still the role of whether you want to look at it as president or CEO or entrepreneur or anything like those, and really that role is to be a problem solver, to put things together, to whether that's for us, people who want to teach and people who want to learn, right? I don't need to be able to play to know about that sort of thing or to make that my focus. And I think actually going to try to be an expert has been a detriment to our industry, because a lot of schools are owned by people who are often just music teachers, and then it started to grow a little bit and thought, okay, I'll do my own sort of in-home operation and grow it from that side. But unfortunately that amounts to a service or policies that are really heavy towards the person who's actually providing the service, more heavily towards the professional, where there's definitely a role of thinking about the customer. And I think that's where we sort of lucked out and have done well and been able to sort of carve out this niche, this market share in a short period of time, is because right away we separated those roles. I knew that I'm not the teacher, we're gonna hire people who really know what they're doing in that area. I'm not the recording engineer producer, find the best people that I can, in that area. And my job is sort of put that together, focus on what the customer experience should be like, what the teaching experience should be like. I think too often, especially when you've got small businesses, we're again just focusing on what the profession is and not looking at it as a company. And what's your culture supposed to be like, right? How should the actual company function? Treat it like it's a Silicon Valley startup or something like that, and focus more on developing the business sides. And business is such a general term, right? You're talking psychology is in there, and game theory, and sales, and marketing, and design, and there's so many factors that if you're trying to be that plus the professional, that can be really tough. And you're kind of a unicorn at that point, and I think it's a little bit rare the case that you have a situation like that. So for us, I focused on the building of the business and bringing in together people who could offer the sort of professional side of music in that sense. So does that count as debate?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I find that, moral of the story is it really depends on what your niche is, like what your actual specialty is, right? And then on top of what you're actually servicing, there's so many other things that you have to know, right? There's the payroll, there's the accounting, there's the marketing, there's the paperwork, there's the reception, there's all of those different things that I find we kind of put at the bottom of the list of our idea a lot of times, and it's just good to know that those are things that are important to realize.
Yeah, you want to have industry experience, like even if it's in an area that you're interested in, then maybe go work at a place that offers that service for a couple of years and sort of learn how it works. You don't necessarily need to be there for your entire life or have a career out of that or specifically go to school for that profession, depending on what it is. But maybe you can just gain enough understanding of what the industry is and how you can improve it, and then go about actually opening and just put the right people together.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Mike and Raj. Next question, last question for chapter 1. This one I'm going to have Sean and Steve start us off, and anyone else is welcome to address it if you like. Let's say Sean and Steve, both of you guys won the lottery tonight. Okay, $1.7 billion.
1.7 billion?
1.7 bill, brother. So you win 1.7 billion, but you guys, you love Revival, you love Mealcraft as much as you want to go to Punta Cana tomorrow, you don't want to leave your company, okay? You need to find a solid replacement. So what are maybe up to 3 qualities or qualifications one needs to fill your shoes tomorrow?
Wow.
First of all, I just want to apologize in advance. I'm getting over this nasty cough, so I might be coughing a little bit. But yeah, if I won $1.7 billion, I would not be in Edmonton, that's for sure. You wouldn't see me forever. But 3 things to fill my shoes. I mean, I think the biggest thing, I'm sure you guys can all speak for it as well, is passion. You guys need to have a passion for whatever you do. So that person filling their role needs to be passionate about, you know, your business, the business model, and the service you provide to your consumers. Passion is 1. 2 is obviously the skill set needs to be there. I mean, whatever you can do, they better be able to do it just as good as you, if not better. And then 3rd one would just be trust. Trust is a big thing. I mean, your business is your baby. You spend with it 24 hours a day. You go to bed with it. You wake up thinking about it. It's always on your mind. You need to have someone that you can trust and who you know is gonna, you know, take it to that next level when you're gone, which is for me forever. So.
Thanks for sharing, buddy.
I think Sean nailed it for all of it. I think the one thing that I would add to that is like the attention to detail. Nobody cares about your business as much as you will, and that person has to, like, even one of my business partners is here, and he's like behind you guys there, but you know, like there's
Wait, Dustin, wait.
yeah. You know, like it's kind of funny because we kind of run a multi-man show at the warehouse here, but you know, we'll catch each other's mistakes all the time, and like, you know, I got Dustin doing a lot of the legwork for me, but you know, I'll catch on to things that he'll miss, and he'll catch on to my shit too. And that's the one thing that I think it's hard to, you know, have somebody you trust, but you also can't micromanage. That's the one thing I've learned through the last little bit, is that you know, you'll be able to step back from it. But yeah, other than that, just accountability, trust, and having good people you can rely on.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Does anyone else want to share? No? Fair enough. Guys, that concludes chapter 1. What we're going to do now is we're going to give our first draw prize of the day, okay? So Omid, if you could be a brother, can you just pass me that on the right-hand side? Perfect. So guys, chapter 1 is concluded. And for the draw prize of chapter 1, Business versus Passion, winner is going to receive a $50 gift card for Mealcraft. All right? Here we go. Omid said he doesn't know how to pronounce it. Could Yasha please come up to the stage? Yasha. Is Yasha in the house?
Oh, right here.
It's close, Yusuf, it's close. Is Yasha here, going once? Okay, I think they got bored. They got really bored.
You okay?
Yeah. Oh, come on up, Yasha. Come on up. Give him a hand, guys. Woo! All right, we got another prize. Next prize winner wins a $50 gift card to Mealcraft, as well as a Revival Apparel hat. Not the one Steve's wearing. Can you pronounce that, Omid?
The winner is Bilal.
Woo! Bilal! Give him a hand, guys. How's everybody doing so far? Everything's good? Awesome. Chapter 2. Let's flip open the page, okay? Next one, guys, is overcoming obstacles and challenges. There's no miracle without sacrifice. And we're going to open up chapter 2 for Sean Chai here, okay? Now, if you guys haven't already noticed, when I bring up Sean Chai, I get really bubbly because I've known him for like pretty much since I was 14 years old. And Sean is somebody who I've admired, I've gotten great advice from along the way. He's been like a second brother of mine. And he came to India with me years ago. And it's just great to see the growth as a person and as a business owner that I've seen from Sean himself over the years. And I want Sean to open up the table to discuss some of the challenges that he's faced along the way in being a business owner, especially since Sean is now gone through his first 2 years of being in business. And for anybody out here, just for a show of hands, who is right now building something on the side or is a business owner, just so we can get an idea? Put up your hand, please. There you go. So yeah, we have quite a few hands, which is awesome. And I'm sure we can all relate. Those first 2 years are the hardest years of our lives. I'm sure you can testify to that. Especially when it comes to just getting things organized. It's the most exciting, but it can be very tough. So I want Sean to kind of shine a light on what those challenges look like and maybe how he overcame one of the biggest challenges he faced building Mealcraft along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone can talk about their challenges in their businesses. I'm sure everyone has tons and tons of challenges we go through. So I'll open the floor of just personal growth for me. Just challenging myself as an individual, not so much as, the challenges in Mealcraft as a business, but the things, I was afraid of doing, the things I overcame. The biggest thing for me was just kind of believing in yourself in the beginning, I finished university, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of did the path everyone else did after undergrad, let's find a job, let's, go to post after post on Indeed, throw your resumes out there, just hopefully someone, hires you for a, entry-level job, and for the most part, they don't really care about you as an individual. I worked for the bank for a little bit. I just found out really fast that I was just a cog in a piece of a factory, and I didn't see myself growing as an individual. So, I told myself, I'm going to take the dive, I'm going to start a company. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was passionate about fitness, health, and, healthy meals, being in the industry for over 10 years. So I took that dive. So I think the biggest challenge first for me is one, just doing what you're saying you're going to do. If you want to start a business, there is no right time to do it. There isn't that special moment. There's not going to be, lightning's not going to strike a certain place and it's going to be like, wow, okay, there's my sign. It's, you just got to jump in and take the dive. So that's one. And just being too hard on yourself too. I think a lot of us as business owners, we're always talking about what we could have done better, how it didn't go the way we wanted it to today. And we sometimes forget to look at, the positives and the growth we've all had, like in years, Sometimes I forget to just take a look back and be like, where was I 2 years ago? I wasn't even cooking in a kitchen. I was cooking out of a little cube box. I didn't have a fridge. I can tell you guys nightmares and nightmares about the stuff that I did, driving around till 12, 1 in the morning, just delivering food in my car, just trying to get to customers. But sometimes we just forget to take a look back and see where we come from. So to answer that question, Kenny, I think that would be my biggest challenge, just not being too hard on myself. And what I'm doing to combat that actually is, so one of my best friends, KB, we actually decided recently that every day we're gonna just write 5 things that we're grateful about in life. It can be anything, it can be the little things from, doing your bed in the morning, just the small victories in your day. And then at the end of the day, writing about 5 things that you're happy you accomplished. And they can be from the small things to the big things. And I really think that's really helping me kind of like sit back and appreciate more of the wins rather than the losses. So yeah.
That's awesome, Sean. You're gonna make me cry, dude. Love that. Does anyone else have a challenge to share? I know Bean, stand by because there's one challenge we want to definitely discuss, but would anyone else like to shine a light with maybe different challenges that any other panelists has faced that shine a light on this topic?
I'd like to know how you ran a food company without a fridge.
See, we don't talk about that. We can talk about that later, Raj.
That's a good question, right? I'll take that one, Kenny. I don't know everybody in the room. I know a quarter or so of the people in the room. I think that it's important to talk about feeling alone. Like sometimes in business as an entrepreneur, you might feel alone, you might feel isolated, off on an island, stresses, worries, whatever comes with that. I felt alone very, very briefly, but then very quickly realized that I wasn't. So I think it's important to either realize that you're not alone or make sure you're not alone. So figure out which one you need to do, but do one of them. Because if you're alone, you will struggle. Like you're not going to be able to solve every problem yourself. You need a team, you need people around you who are strong at what they do, and you need people who you can trust on your team. So either find them or identify that you already have them and maybe you're just creating the perception that you're alone. So loneliness is not necessarily true, it might be false.
I love that. Thanks, Raj. And that definitely segues into what we want to talk about in Chapter 3, where it takes a team. And to finalize Chapter 2 here being, for those of you who don't know, Ryu Paralysis and Recovery Center, it's not a business. It's a non-for-profit organization. And Bean and I were talking, and we wanted to shine a light on the struggles of creating a non-for-profit right now, on the niche that Bean is focusing in on, and how the multiple barriers along the way have been the government putting up a lot of these walls when it comes to a lot of individuals who are clearly in pain, who clearly can't even get out of bed, who quit their job, who can't even make love with their significant other, just everything from A to Z. Yet the government still looks at them as, you know what, all the doctors who you visited, they can't identify what's wrong with you. This hits home for me big because I have a friend of mine who was close to becoming a GM of one of the most successful restaurants in the city, who now is pretty much paralyzed in the neck, and he's seen multiple doctors. He's fighting lawyers at this point. He was at one point close to actually seeing Bean, but he had to go fly off to Victoria to go see if there's any doctors there to help him out. And it's a constant struggle. It's something that unfortunately the government looks at as something that, due to the fact that it's unidentifiable, on paper, there's nothing they could do about it, which is stupid. And I wanted Bean to kind of talk about what those challenges look like. And you know what, in front of 40 people, what sort of awareness can we create? And what sort of light can we bring to everybody who doesn't know about some of the struggles we're facing?
Yeah, I mean, talking about overcoming obstacles, and I mean, I haven't overcome anything. I don't know even what an obstacle is. I'm sitting in a wheelchair. It's just, yeah, so with our system and the type of business that I run, we are the first paralysis recovery center in Edmonton. There is one in Calgary as well, so we can't say we're the first one in Alberta. But within Canada, there's 5. Within California, there's 8. And so, I mean, yes, the US has more population and stuff, but, Canada, like I said before, is really far behind. And here in our medical system, if you don't have a diagnosis, if you don't fit into this box, you can't get funding, you can't access programs because you don't have a label on you. And, it's 2019, we're trying to get rid of labels, we're trying to get rid of boxes and stuff, but our healthcare system is designed around boxes. And I have quite a few clients who are undiagnosed, who clearly have some motor impairment, are unable to walk, unable to use their hands, unable to eat, unable to do so many things, and little kids as well. They have genetic conditions, lots of things go undiagnosed with little kids because if you don't fit into these boxes, you don't get that label. And especially with kids, there is lots of funding available if you fit in a box. If you don't fit in a box, sorry, you're shit out of luck. Try to do what you can do. And if you don't have strong-willed parents, or if you don't have the financial backing to help you, there's not a lot that you can do. And unfortunately, a lot of these kids end up in not good situations. So for myself to open a nonprofit, a little bit of backstory, after being paralyzed by a virus, I went around to different centers, different places to find activity-based training, which is the therapy that gave me the results that I wanted, and at the rate that I wanted. I went around to all these places, to Calgary, Regina, Vancouver, California. All of them were nonprofits. And I really liked that they stood for something and that they were not there to make money, they were there to help people. There was one center in California that started as a nonprofit and then turned to a for-profit model. And that was the center that I went to. And when I first was there, I talked about bringing a franchise to Edmonton. And the CEO at that time told me with his Rolex, this is a very lucrative business. There's lots of money to be made here. And that really struck a chord with me because I'm like, I'm paying 110 US an hour at your facility and you're telling me you're getting rich off of me. And I went from being an x-ray tech making 6 figures to last year making $13,000 a year, right? So how are you supposed to afford this? Our system, that's what I'm saying, our system is so backwards, our system is totally messed up. But the obstacles that we are now facing is the medical system. It's our biggest obstacle, and the attitudinal barrier that Alberta has. And I've traveled around, and I can honestly tell you the attitudinal barrier in Alberta is way worse than almost the rest of Canada and the States. We have this mentality here where, you know, I make a lot of money, I make six figures, I drive a big truck, look at my nice Versace, whatever, right? But anything that's different, we don't pay attention to or we're scared of. And I know this all too well because growing up in Edmonton with brown skin, you know, been discriminated against literally since the day I was born, being a girl, and now having a wheelchair. I felt it from so many different aspects, and it's really, really hard to keep a strong spirit and a positive attitude when the world is trying to always knock you down and always look down at you. But I have a really good role model, my mom, and a really good support system, which is why I'm sitting here in front of you guys. And I take this opportunity to educate everybody and to try to change someone's mind about people with disabilities and about people who are different in general. I kind of went off topic a little bit here, but coming back to obstacles, opening nonprofits, like I said, it is the medical system. Right now, the medical system doesn't believe in what we do. And I take that and I run with it because I have a very big rebellious side in me. And my therapist was like, I'm glad you can channel this in like a positive way because I'm rebelling against the medical system. I've had it, I used to work for them. I went through as a patient, and let me tell you, it's broken. And so this just fuels my fire and makes me fight even harder because we are doing what they are saying won't happen. And so our clients are the results. Eventually they will change. Eventually they will change. And we have a very uphill battle that I'm not ever gonna stop climbing because not only for myself, but for all of my clients, for all of the people who will end up having a disability of some sort, they need advocates and they need the system to change. And unless we do it, it's not going to.